One family is reunited after Hurricane Maria impacted Puerto Rico. Here at UCF, one professor's concern was her family's safety. Nightly News reporter Crystal Ruiz tells us how the professor was able to save her aunt's life.
After Hurricane Maria, Donna Mercado took a chance to get her aunt to Florida.
She is a cancer patient, and it was the 8th day where she didn't have any electricity, any water.
Nervous, the UCF lead professor says she texted a woman with the Caribbean Resilience System.
And I said, my name is, Donna Mercado. My aunt is in Puerto Rico. She's a cancer patient. Can we bring her to?
Hello and welcome to Hitting the Field. I am your host, Kyle Briley, and today I am joined by Jeremy Brener and Mark Tavilla. These two will be talking some UCF sports and then some NFL after that. Jaret Kappelman and Messel will join me to discuss World Series and the MLB. But first, let's talk a little UCF football. The Knights scored a program record 73 points on Saturday against a chippy but clearly overmatched Austin Peay team. USF, our cross-state rivals, however, lost to Houston, ending its 12-game winning streak, while also placing our Knights in sole possession of first place in the AAC East. What do you guys think USF's loss means for us moving forward? Jeremy.
First of all, shout out to all my homies back in Houston. Thank you for getting the win this weekend. But basically, this just means that the main opponent for UCF has changed, guys. It's not USF anymore, it's Memphis. USF out of the rankings now. Memphis put in at 22. And although we don't see Memphis already on the schedule coming up, we could see them in the conference championship as they could come out of the West and UCF coming out of the East if we can maintain our winning streak that we have so far. We beat them 40-13 earlier in the year. Hopefully we can see a repeat of that in the conference championship. But basically this means the main rival is no longer USF, it's the Memphis Tigers.
I still think our rival's USF, but Mark, what do you think?
Well, I just want to say that we are now officially better, recognized by the AP polls. We are ranked 15, and they're not even ranked in AP. They're ranked in coaches, but that doesn't really matter to me, at least. Shout out to my hometown friends from Jupiter, went to USF, picked the wrong school. With how Houston played them, though, I could definitely see it becoming, for our matchup, a kind of a game of scoring. Our defense has been pretty inconsistent from week to week. As you've noticed, we can't, especially last week, we couldn't even wrap up on Austin Peay. So we can't make mistakes. We can't have two tipped catches in the end zone. Come on, secondary, you got to be able to, you got to do that, man. But if we don't beat ourselves, it's going to be a big W, just emotionally and for the season itself.
Yeah, I hope it's an exciting shootout. But back to Jeremy, I still think USF's our rival, and that we've already shown we can beat Memphis.
Let me rephrase that. USF's our main rival. Memphis is the competition now. Let's say that USF is the school we hate, and I can't wait to beat them on Black Friday. But Memphis is our main competition now. What UCF should be focusing on is that conference championship. Exactly.
I like that. All right. Well, one of the surprise teams in the AAC this season has been the SMU Mustangs. Chad Morris has his team firing on all cylinders, ranking in the top 10 in the country in both yards per game and points per game on offense. The Mustangs aren't nearly as effective on defense, where they ranked 95th in the country in points allowed per game, which may be an issue considering they're welcoming in the #1 scoring offense in the country. What do you think, Mark? Should the Knights be on upset alert this weekend against SMU?
I got to say, SMU is a pretty scrappy team. It's the first time they've been bowl eligible since 2012, and
so they want it.
There's a big win over Tulsa yesterday or Saturday. So, but if we can handle Navy, I don't see any reason why we should have a problem beating SMU.
Okay.
Honestly. I'm still even more worried about USF at this point. But even then.
I think our defense needs to come out, like you said. Giving up 30-plus points to Austin Peay kind of worries me. But Jeremy, how do you feel?
I think one major thing points out. So UCF went to Cincinnati a couple weeks ago. They got a 28-point win in just 3 quarters. SMU, they went to overtime with Cincinnati. I think that's the that's the comparison that you can make here that gives the advantage to UCF. but UCF's just got to play the game. It's a road conference game. It's a game that isn't going to come easy. The Knights can't get complacent. The Knights have to play their game. They have to, play football. They can't get complacent like they did this weekend. But if they can play the way they've been playing, like the 15th best team in the country, they can get the job done.
Yeah, I think if they come out there and play football, we got a shot.
We got a shot. We got a shot.
All right, well, that's all the time we have to talk UCF football. But stay tuned, because when we get back, we'll tackle some NFL football. Don't go anywhere.
Do you like sports? Do you like reading about sports? Then we got a sports blog just for you. Stay on my peripherals. That's not far. Hitting the field.
The first student-run sports blog.
For sports fans.
By sports fans.
See, it's all about the product shot.
Where do you want me to stand?
Don't talk though. I want them to see the whole.
Hitting the field. We cover football. We cover basketball. And so much more.
He's out. By sports reporters. And Meech.
What up? Watch the show and read the sports blog. Hitting the
Field.
Thanks for sticking with us through the break, and welcome back to Hitting the Field. I am happy to still be joined by Jeremy Brener and Mark Tavilla to talk a little NFL football. Well, gents, it's about midway through the NFL season, which means it's time to give out some mid-season hardware. The MVP race is filled with new faces like Alex Smith and Carson Wentz enjoying the best years of their careers, but there are still some familiar faces like Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and Russell Wilson playing great. So after each team has played about half their regular season games, who is your midway MVP? Jeremy, we'll start with you.
I love the wide open race. The season's been so unpredictable so far through 8 weeks, but I think when you have things like that, it's safe to give it to the quarterback of the best team in the league, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles by record. Carson Wentz is second in yards right now, and he's number 1 in touchdowns next to my boy Deshaun Watson. So I think it's hard to argue against that. I think, but there's two halves to a season, so I hope that's not the answer I'm given at the end of the season, because I'd like to see a guy like Deshaun Watson win it. But I think through 8 games, you got to give it to Wentz.
Mark, who you got?
I'm going to have to go with Tom Brady, man.
Of course you will.
Okay. In just personal attributes, he has a 66.7% completion rate. 5 of the past 8 games he's played, he's threw over 300 yards. One, I think, 447 against New Orleans. But what's just really kind of gone to show is even without its major piece in Edelman, he really does have the depth in his receiver core to back him up. With the emergence of versatile backs in like White and Burkhead and a new deep threat in Cooks, it really kind of gives a variety in passing plays. And also he's been making up for where injuries and just a really unfamiliar defense has kind of been slacking. So I think he's proved his worth for sure.
Yeah, everybody's been a little injury prone, but I'm really excited with how wide open the race really is. Like,
exactly.
It's gonna add a lot of intrigue to the rest of the season. So we've discussed the MVP. Now it's time to talk about the rookies. Kareem Hunt has burst onto the scene this season and has looked like he was going to run away with Rookie of the Year, literally and figuratively, after the first few weeks of the season. Since then, however, we have seen Deshaun Watson tear apart defenses after being named the starter for the Texans. Leonard Fournette has been demolishing teams for the Jaguars, and many other rookies are already becoming household names. With that said, who is your mid-season Rookie of the Year? Mark, start with you.
Man, I'm just going to have to go with Deshaun Watson. If you want proof, you just got to look at highlights from that Seattle game from yesterday, man. He threw for over 400 yards against the Legion of Boom. With pieces like Miller, Fuller, and Hopkins, he has the receiver core that can give him what he needs to be able to make the plays that he can. He rushed 8 times. He rushed 8 times himself for 67 yards, and he averaged 8 yards per carry. And he's basically what he did yesterday. He just emulated Russell Wilson. Even though he couldn't get the win over the real Russell Wilson, I just think he's really showcased what he's capable of his first year playing in the NFL.
Well, he's no stranger to good receiving cores. He always had good receivers at Clemson as well. So I think given the right weapons, Deshaun Watson can make some noise in this league. Jeremy?
Absolutely. The heart agrees with you, Mark, it does. But Mr. Briley, I'm going to give you an answer with the head right here, and I'm going to say Kareem Hunt. He's the only guy in the NFL with 1,000 scrimmage yards right now, and the next best guy, Le'Veon Bell, has 979, and Bell's played one more game than Hunt. I think that Kareem Hunt's been the heartbeat of that offense this year in Kansas City, the #1 team in the AFC right now. After tonight, could be 6-2. That would be top seed in the AFC. And Kareem Hunt has done things that we have not seen other rookie running backs do. Even with Ezekiel Elliott last year, he's on pace to have more yards than Zeke had last year, even with his historic rookie season.
Yeah, it's definitely been something to watch. I'm a little angry I didn't pick him up on fantasy, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
he was the sleeper this year.
He really was.
He was the sleeper.
I
Don't sleep on him.
All right. Well, now that we've gone over the bright spots in the league, let's shed some light on some truly dark disappointments thus far this season. You could argue all of the teams in the NFC South outside of the Saints have been disappointing, or even that all of the injuries we've seen has really put a damper on the NFL season. But what storyline, team, coach, or player do you think has been the biggest letdown so far? Jeremy.
I think the injuries have been terrible, but I think if we're going to go with teams, you got to go with Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think Atlanta, last year at this point in the season, 4-3. This year they're 4-3, but this is a different team. Last year they scored 23 points in all but one game. This year we're averaging 21.9 points per game. The way they lose these games, though, when they lost to Miami at home up 17, you just can't blow games like that. And then you wait, what was it, like 7-8 months to play New England, the team that, you want revenge on, and you show up the way they did, not even scoring until the end of the fourth quarter. It's just not the same Atlanta team that had the MVP returning most of their team last year, a historic offense from the year before, and just the way they've gotten to 4-3 this year is just not what Atlanta needs right now. The fans are not as happy, and I'm with them. I wouldn't be happy if that were my team.
I think they've still got a little hangover going.
A little bit of a hangover.
And it's hard not to after that. Who's your biggest disappointment, Mark?
If we're going to go back to the Falcons, I'd say it's definitely a little bit Matty Ice. But if I was actually going to go with my own choice, I'd go with player Jay Ajayi actually on the Dolphins. He's only averaging 3.4 yards per carry. He had no touchdowns throughout the first 7 games, and he's contributing nothing to already, as quoted by head coach Adam Gase of Cutler and his Dolphins, the worst offense in all of football right now.
Yeah.
So
the Dolphins have looked just terrible. I really wish you didn't pick Jay Ajayi. If he was playing better, I would have a much better year. But with that being said, I got to give the W to Jeremy. Excellent work. Carson Wentz, Kareem Hunt, ATL definitely the biggest disappointment in my eyes. Well done. After stick with us after this break. We'll be right back. Thanks, guys.
Today, when you have multiple devices at your fingertips, wouldn't it be great if you could run the software you need on all of them? Well, now you can. UCF Apps is a new and innovative way for you to access the applications that you need to get your coursework done from any PC, Mac, tablet, or smartphone. For more information or to give your input on UCF Apps, go to apps.ucf.edu. What are you waiting for? Start using UCF Apps today.
Do you like sports? Do you like reading about sports? Then we got a sports blog just for you. Stay on my peripherals. That's not fun. Hitting the field.
The first student-run sports blog.
For sports fans.
By sports fans.
See, it's all about the product shot.
Where do you want me to stand?
Don't talk though. I want them to see the whole.
Hitting the field. We cover football. We cover basketball. And so much more.
He's out. By sports reporters. And Meech.
What up? Watch the show and read the sports blog. Hitting
the field.
Today, when you have multiple devices at your fingertips, wouldn't it be great if you could run the software you need on all of them? Well, now you can. UCF Apps is a new and innovative way for you to access the applications that you need to get your coursework done from any PC, Mac, tablet, or smartphone. For more information or to give your input on UCF Apps, go to apps.ucf.edu. What are you waiting for? Start using UCF Apps today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Hitting the Field. As you can see, I am now joined by Messel and Jaret Kappelman. Guys, last night's World Series game was one for the ages. In a series that has already been a roller coaster ride from the very beginning, the Astros ended up taking home the win, going up 3-2 in the series with Game 6 and a chance to close it out on the road. This being the case, what do you guys think has been the biggest takeaway from the series thus far? Eddie, we're going to get it rolling with you.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaways easily had to be the offense. The offense between both teams, 22 overall home runs in the league, or is the most home runs ever hit in a World Series combined. The Astros themselves had 5 different guys go deep last night. I mean, I don't know what's going on in Houston or even in LA. The balls are just flying right now. And I think that definitely is the biggest takeaway for the World Series.
The bats are hot. Jaret.
Yeah, definitely. The biggest takeaway has to be the home runs. But also, I think we have to take a look at Dave Roberts. His bullpen management has just not been great. Game 2, he takes Rich Hill out after 4 innings, 1 run. Ended up biting him in the butt because that game ended up going 11 innings, and they pitched every single guy in their bullpen, and it showed up in games 3 and 4 when they were short on the bullpen and running down. But definitely.
Does that make a bigger difference to you than the bats?
Good pitching will always beat better hitting. So, yes, I do think
I have heard you say that before, Jaret. You're a man of many words, but I've heard that one before. Like we mentioned in the last question, the Astros now lead the series 3-2 and have Justin Verlander slated to start Game 6. The Dodgers get to play at home, where they split Games 1 and 2 with a win and a loss to open the series. We've discussed the biggest takeaways from the series thus far, but how do you guys see things wrapping up? Jaret, we'll start with you.
Before the series, I said Astros in 6. I'm going to stick by it, Astros in 6. I think Verlander's going to get the better of the Dodgers. Keep the ball in the ballpark, you're going to win. The Dodgers have scored 16 of their 29 runs off the home run. So I think with Verlander, if you can just keep the ball in the park, maybe limit them to 1 home run, I don't see a reason why the Astros can't win in 6.
The way things have been going, though, that's easier said than done, don't you think?
But I see Verlander shutting it down.
Right on. And Eddie, what you got?
Kind of like you just said, it's definitely easier said than done. I think the way it's been going, things are definitely going to go Game 7. You got a rematch of Game 2, Verlander versus Hill again, and I think Hill he wants to get some revenge. You know, shouldn't have been taken out as early. I think he's going to go deep, and I still think Houston's going to take it in 7, but it's definitely going to go 7.
So you got Astros in 7. All right. Those aren't too bold looking at it now, but I'd like to see 7 games after what we saw last night.
It'd be exciting.
The more baseball, the better, in my opinion.
Best baseball game.
Free baseball.
Witness.
No, me too. Well, a team that isn't in the World Series, but is definitely always in the news, made the headlines last week when the Yankees decided to relieve manager Joe Girardi of his duties after a decade as the skipper for the MLB's Golden franchise. It seemed like Girardi had molded this young Yankees team well and even had them playing above expectations most of the season. Do you think it was the correct move to get rid of Girardi? And who do you think the Yankees call to replace him? Eddie, we'll start with you.
It's hard to say because, you know, overall he was a winning manager. He went 910 and 710. I mean, did a great job over the last 10 years. But I think it might have been time for a change. You know, he won the World Series in 09. I mean, the guys really wanted to play for him. You could tell that in this playoffs. But I think it is time for a change. And I think Cashman's definitely going to stick in-house. He's going to go with a guy like Tony Pena, who started as a Royals manager and then in 2003 and since 2005 has been with the Yankees organization. And I think he's your best fit for the job.
Okay, Tony Pena, who you got?
Back when Girardi was fired by the Marlins, it was just questionable. And again here, I mean, you're going to call this a rebuilding season, and you end up making the playoffs. Not only that, coming back 2-0 against the MLB's best team that we all said going into the playoffs. And then you forced a Game 7 against the Houston Astros. I don't understand what the move is. The only thing I can figure is they want to go with the younger manager to build around the younger team. I mean, you had Aaron Judge, Didi Gregorius, Greg Bird. They want to go with the younger look. That's the only thing I can figure. But another move I could see happening is maybe them trying to get after Don Mattingly from the Marlins and possibly the Marlins hiring Girardi, which, you know, that could be
the old swapperoo.
Yeah, but honestly, it's that or someone young. I just don't. But I'm questioning the move, Yankees.
You're right. It doesn't feel like your typical rebuilding season.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if they're looking out into the future and want to build around this young team with stars that they have everywhere, I mean, this team looks great going
100%.
forward. Maybe it's the right move. Who are we to question it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, with the World Series going on, I know it's tough to look back and think about the regular season, but the MVPs from both leagues have yet to be given out. While we patiently await what we hope to be another thrilling World Series game tomorrow night, I want to know who you think takes home the sweet MVP hardware in both the AL and the NL. So, Jaret, let's start with you.
So I'm going to go AL, Jose Altuve. I said it last show. I'm sticking with it. He hit 346, 32 stolen bases, 410 on base percentage. You can say Aaron Judge, but he struck out 38% of his at-bats, led the MLB with 208 strikeouts. Altuve only had 84 strikeouts, which was 14% of his at-bats. I just don't see how you can't give it to Altuve after his historic season. And NL, I'm going to go with my boy, Giancarlo Stanton. Absolutely crushed it. 59 home runs, 132 RBIs, led the MLB. And both Altuve and Stanton were granted the Hank Aaron Award, which is given to the best hitter in each league, which was given out in Game 1. So, I mean, I don't see how you can't give it to those two players.
Even though good pitching beats good hitting?
Well, this is MVP.
Hey, I'm just giving you a hard time. All right, Eddie.
With the AL, I went the same route with Altuve. Like he said, 32 stolen bases, 555 slugging percentage. I mean, the guy is just lighting the world on fire for being 5'6". Shout out to all my short people. Only a handful of players have done what he's done in the last 94 years. And with the NL, I went with, it was either between Goldschmidt for me or Arenado, and I gave it to Arenado, Nolan. He's lighting the world on fire too. Played way better in.
I like those picks, I do, but this was some great debate. We got to go to commercial here, and I got to give the W to Jaret today. Eddie, again, dude, great work. You've been killing it up here. I seriously, I can't wait to have you back on again. But please stick with us through the break, and we'll be right back.
Today, when you have multiple devices at your fingertips, wouldn't it be great if you could run the software you need on all of them? Well, now you can. UCF Apps is a new and innovative way for you to access the applications that you need to get your coursework done from any PC, Mac, tablet, or smartphone. For more information or to give your input on UCF Apps, go to apps.ucf.edu. What are you waiting for? Start using UCF Apps today.
Do you like sports? Do you like reading about sports? Then we got a sports blog just for you. Stay on my peripherals. That's not far. Hitting the field.
The first student-run sports blog.
For sports fans.
By sports fans.
See, it's all about the product shot.
Where do you want me to stand?
Don't talk though. I want them to see the hole.
Hitting the field. We cover football. We cover basketball. And so much more.
He's out. By sports reporters and Meech.
What up? Watch the show and read the sports blog. Hitting the
field.
Today, when you have multiple devices at your fingertips, wouldn't it be great if you could run the software you need on all of them? Well, now you can. UCF Apps is a new and innovative way for you to access the applications that you need to get your coursework done from any PC, Mac, tablet, or smartphone. For more information or to give your input on UCF Apps, go to apps.ucf.edu. What are you waiting for? Start using UCF Apps today.
Thanks for sticking with us, and welcome back to Hitting the Field. It's that time of the show again, the joust. Jeremy and Jaret will be facing off. May the best man win. College football proved again this weekend why it's America's best sport. Penn State lost in a thriller road game against Ohio State in what ended up being probably the game of the year. And the number 2 country goes down just 4 days prior to the first college football playoff rankings being released. That's unlucky. Who is your top 4 heading into the first week of the actual committee's rankings? Jaret, we'll start with you.
Undoubtedly, Alabama, undisputed #1 right now. #2, have to go with Georgia. You know, they're playing the SEC too. They're putting up good numbers. They absolutely embarrassed Florida.
Yes, they did.
#3, I'm going to go with Ohio State. I'm going to have them jumping up. They have a great win against Penn State, and their only loss is against Oklahoma, which Oklahoma's a top 10 team. It's at home, but I still think that's going to be a good win on their resume. #4, I'm going to stick with Wisconsin, undefeated Big Ten. I don't see how they're going to put Clemson in front of them and Notre Dame, considering the fact they have 1 loss. But it'll come down, probably those 2.
Jeremy, who you got?
It's hard to argue against that. I got Jaret's top 4 as well. But keep in mind, these rankings that come out tomorrow aren't going to be the ones at the end of the season. We still have so many. We have 2 in the SEC, 2 in the Big Ten, and Penn State could still find their way in there. Remember what happened last year with all 3 of those Big Ten teams in there? And then Notre Dame and Clemson, it's going to be, it's like musical chairs, honestly. Yeah. It's like 8 people wanting to sit in 4 chairs, and it's going to be a mess. But I'm all about a mess. So.
Exactly, it makes it fun.
I want to see 2 teams from the same conference in the playoffs, though.
It would be fun.
That would be cool.
So who saw this coming? It's only about 9% of the way through the season, but our hometown Orlando Magic currently sit as the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference with big wins already against teams like Cleveland, Miami, and San Antonio. So guys, are the Magic actually good? Jeremy.
The key word to that question, 9% of the season. There's still 91% of the season to go. I mean, props to the Magic. Got to give it to them. That win against the Spurs on Friday, phenomenal. But are they going to win a title this year? That's what I care about. Are you going to challenge the Warriors and are you going to win a title? The answer is no, unfortunately. Sorry, Magic.
Maybe not this year.
Maybe not this year.
But I like where we're at, although the Cleveland win doesn't look quite so impressive after last night against the Knicks.
Very true.
Cleveland looks awful.
Again, I mean, they've played 6 games of the season, and we're talking about playoffs. I mean, come on now. It's 6 games into the season. They played the Spurs without Leonard and Parker.
Fair.
It's 6 games into the season. Who knows? It's not how you.
It's exciting.
It is very exciting for the city.
Exciting Orlando Magic basketball.
It's not how you start, it's how you finish.
That's the truth.
Always.
Finally, another intriguing storyline developed as Florida college football team fighting for bowl eligibility fired their head coach. And no, I'm not talking about my Seminoles. That's right. The University of Florida fired Jim McElwain this weekend after getting. It was a weird week involving alleged death threats and getting pummeled by Georgia in Jacksonville on Saturday. So who do you guys think Florida should target as their next head coach? Jaret, quick answer.
As a longtime Florida coach, glad he's gone. I would love to see them hire UCF's own Scott Frost.
Oh, man.
It hurts, but I'd love to, as a longtime fan, I would love to see him at Florida. But as a UCF student, I want to see him stay. But he would turn UF around the way he's turned UCF around.
That's awful.
There's only one job Scott Frost is taking, and that's Nebraska's job, his alma mater.
So who's Florida's? Give me Florida.
You got 3 guys. Mike Norvell of Memphis, top 10 offense in the country. Charlie Strong at USF, he has history with the Gators, 6 years a coordinator there. And Willie Taggart, who was at USF, brought them to where they were, and then went to Oregon. Could Florida possibly bring him back? That's certainly a name they're going to have to look out for.
Or Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly would be cool, but I got my money on in-house Steve Spurrier.
That'd be cool, too.
He's already working for the squad. I think he's going to come back, and that would be interesting to see. So, guys, that's all the time we have on the show today. And the winner of the joust is Jeremy. Fantastic work today, my friend. Well done. Be sure to check out his night vision on the Twitter page and at Hitting the Field. Stay with us. Please join us next week. Bye, guys.